Hey guys, a very warm welcome to you all. This is your host Saurabh, and today we have for you one of India's most loved SUVs, that is Ford Endeavour. This is a 4-year-old car and it is a daily driver. I will now show you what 4 years do to your car and then take you through the complete process of transformation and show you how we got this car looking into better than showroom condition. Though nothing alarming, the car does have some mineral deposits along the logos, and this is normal for a car of this age. The trim along the windows also has stubborn dirt, and this also needs to be given a good cleaning. You can also see major deposits here and on the wheels. The tires and wheel wells are also holding on to a lot of muck, and this is normal for a vehicle that is driven in Gurgaon. That same muck can be seen on this floorboard as well. We started our decontamination by removing the mineral deposit along the logos, and because of the heavy deposition, we had to use a mineral deposit remover for this task. All the honeycomb grills and black plastic panels got a good scrub over with the MDR. Remember the deposits that I showed you along the window line? These turned out to be too stubborn to be removed by normal cleaning, and we had to use our MDR on these as well. The footboard required some heavy cleaning, and we went at it with a heavy duty cleaner and lot of scrubbing using brushes. Same methodology was applied on the mud flaps as well. Once we took care of all the mineral deposits, we started with our wheel decontamination. Our wheel decontamination starts with the rinse, where we remove all the loose dirt which is holding on to the wheels. Here we had to break out our strongest cleaner because of the heavy deposits. This wheel brush helps us to reach into the barrel and remove the dust from all hard to reach areas. The color of the foam here shows that the brake dust is breaking down. This lug nut brush helps us in cleaning the area around the lug nuts, and this area usually holds on to lots and lots of dirt and deposits. The same lug nut brush is being used on the faces as well. This helps us in reaching the corners, especially the areas where the spokes are meeting the rim. Though we didn't notice it earlier, the tires on this vehicle were exceptionally dirty, as evidenced by the color of the froth. Here, just have a look at all the muck that has flown down from just one wheel. The same process was followed on all 4 wheels before we moved on to our next step, which is the top wash. Here we are rinsing the surface using plenty of water to remove all the surface dirt. While rinsing, it is our endeavor to move the dirt from the top of the vehicle towards the bottom. Here we are foaming up the vehicle. Foam helps in breaking down the embedded dirt, which does not get removed in the first process. Actually, this softens the dirt, and this dirt breaks down and flows down along with the foam. We try and remove as much of the surface contaminants as possible without touching the vehicle, so that chances of inducing marring during the contact wash are minimized. Even our wash process is such that we start from the top and then move towards the bottom half of the car. This way we minimize the chances of inducing any marring during our wash process. Bumpers are done at the very end because these are the dirtiest parts of the car. This last rinse removes all the suds and then the car is ready for drying. Here the decontamination process is over and now we can examine the car and decide on our next course of action, that is paint refinement and correction. Now that we have completed the decontamination, we can assess the condition of the vehicle. As you can see, there is plenty of marring, this vehicle being 4 years old. There are certain deeper scratches which we will not be able to remove completely, but yes, their visibility will be reduced. All this surface hazing that you see, all this hazing is going to go off. Though this is a fairly well kept vehicle, but swirls is something that generally appear and they're very difficult to control. This is what the vehicle looks like when it is under the sun. These are the swirl marks that you see. Now that I've got you in closer, this is what the swirls look like under artificial lighting, and this is what is imparting such a dull finish to the paint. Before we start with our polishing step, we mask all the delicate areas to prevent any accidental contact with the polisher. That deep scratch that I showed you on the bonnet, so here we are wet sanding it using a 3000 grit sandpaper. Sanding will smoothen out the edges and minimize the appearance of the scratch. I generally avoid wet sanding because there are chances of removing too much of the clear coat. However, in case the scratch is too prominent, then I'll do it very delicately and remove just the bare basic amount of clear coat so as to reduce the scratch. This hazing is all that is left behind, and this will get removed during our next step, which is polishing. Again, while polishing, I try and use the least aggressive methodology, but the marring on this car necessitated the use of a rotary polisher and a wool pad. I have generally seen people throwing around the polisher using erratic movements, but this is the correct way of using the polisher, that is to and fro and left and right movements with a controlled arm speed and steady even pressure. This way the consistency of the cut is maintained, and then you can go around the whole car using the same methodology and you will get the same cut that you have received in the previous panels. Here, have a look, the difference that 4 passes with the polisher has made. The central part of the bonnet, where we have done the polishing, is clear, whereas you can see so much of hazing on the sides. Here my son is using a dual action polisher and a wool pad, which will give the same amount of cut without any chances of damaging the paint. See, this is the surface hazing that is left behind after the polishing step, and in our next step we would be removing this hazing. Here we are using a fine finishing polish on a light cutting pad on a dual action polisher to remove the surface hazing that I showed you earlier. At the end of this step, the surface would be perfect and there will be no scattering of light, giving flawless gloss and reflections. Paint correction is a very time consuming process, and on such a big car, it generally takes us more than a day to complete this process. This is the actual arm speed while polishing, so you can very well imagine how much time it would take to go over the whole car. This is what the surface looks like after we are through with the finishing process. And this is what it was before this step. The last step before coatings is the panel wipe. Here we are using eraser from Carpro to remove all the polishing oils that might have been left behind during the polishing step. It is essential to have a contaminant-free surface for the coating to bond properly. Here I am starting with the application of ceramic coating. Ceramic coating helps in protecting the beautiful finish that we have worked so hard to achieve. ceramic coating is applied in overlapping cross-hatch pattern on one part at a time. Coating has to be applied in an absolutely even manner so as to prevent any high spots or streaking. This wipe down here is called as leveling. Here we are removing the excess coating from the surface. We continuously keep checking our work to ensure that we do not leave behind any high spots. Any streaks or high spots that are left behind become permanent and can only be removed via a polishing step. It took us 3 days to prepare this car, but the results are well worth the effort.